and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Angie and I'm a chemist who loves makeup. Some Rhode Beauty customers are not happy with their peptide lip treatment because they are finding a grainy material as they are using it. We're going to explain the science of this issue, what Rhode suggests that the customers do about it, and if Rhode is taking any action on this. So the reason this got on my radar is because of a TikTok comparing it to the Jaclyn Hill lipsticks, in which a grainy texture was one of the issues that the Jaclyn Hill lipsticks had. The peptide lip treatment was launched in 2022, and it seems, according to Reddit, this has been an issue since the launch and has persisted up to even a couple of months ago, is what I was seeing some customers saying. If you've bought this product, let me know down below if you had this issue with the grainy texture and how recently you might have purchased this product. So that brings us to, why is this happening? I suspect the culprit to be the shea butter. Now, maybe there's other ingredients that also have this issue, but this is going to be a known issue with formulas that utilize shea butter. Shea butter has a general melting point of 89 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. For reference, remember that normal human temperature is around the 98.7 Fahrenheit range. So that means basically if your body were to make contact with shea butter, it would melt. However, shea butter is not a single chemical. Let's think of a banana. So on the ingredients list of something you buy that contains bananas, it might just say bananas. But a banana is made up of different chemicals. Think of potassium, dietary fiber, water, vitamin C. So although you would see a banana listed as a single ingredient, it is comprised of many things. Shea butter is similar. In fact, it is made up with several fatty acids, including palmitic, stearic, oleic, linoleic, and arachidic. About 85 to 90% of the fatty acid composition is stearic and oleic acids. And because this is a naturally derived ingredient, this composition can vary. So all of these fatty acids have different melting points. And that's what gives an overall shea butter melting point of the 89 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The reason why this grainy texture is happening is because if you melt these fatty acids and they take too long to go back to their stable form, their solid form, then this is where you get that crystallization or that grainy texture. I've even seen this referred to as blooming before. I don't believe that this was a quality control issue in which the product was manufactured this way. I think this was something that happened once it left the manufacturing facility. That's because when they're manufacturing the product, they have those controls in place that when the product is made and it is melted to make it, it is able to be cooled down more rapidly and in a controlled way. However, once the product is made, it's in your tube, it goes on a truck. Who knows if it was a really hot day and maybe it takes a long time to cool down, or perhaps it was sitting in your car, it was sitting in your pocket. Even just touching your lips as you use the product might have been something that caused this. But do not worry, this is a reversible condition. So what should you do if you find this happens to your product? There are recommendations I've seen from what works and doesn't work on Reddit, and then there is supposedly what Rhode Beauty is suggesting. The method that supposedly Rhode has recommended to customers is to melt the product in hot water and then allow it to cool again. So that may not be the best method, and I'm going to put a disclaimer as to why and how to make sure your product stays safe if you do this. This product is an anhydrous formula. Because anhydrous formula is being defined as without water, it is not a good environment for bacteria to grow. Bacteria like environments that have water, and they will grow even within 24 hours. And if you look at the ingredients, you will see there's no strong preservatives listed in there. That's because this is considered a self-preserving formula. The absence of water means that this formula is not a hospitable environment for bacteria. But if you introduce water to this formula, that could then make it an environment in which bacteria could grow, and that would not be good. So if you are going to put this in hot water, I would recommend putting it in a Ziploc bag first, and then that way you will protect your product from introducing any water to it. The other method that Reddit said is more effective is using a heating pad. And this is because the heating pad is going to have a more steady control of the temperature, whereas using the hot water, once you've heated it, the temperature is just going to drop. There's no reheating to ensure that it has a consistent temperature. So for cooling, remember how we mentioned before, it's that it takes too long for the product to cool back, and that's what's causing the crystallization. So that means you need to introduce some kind of more rapid cooling. I would recommend a fridge or a freezer. Now, I'm not saying leave it in there a long time, but maybe just a short period of time just to cool it down fairly quickly. This is gonna help ensure that the cooling is not too slow again. How often is this occurring? Like I said, if you're someone who's had this product, let me know down below if this is a problem that you've had, or if you've had it and it's not a problem, let me know. And let me know which version that you also have. Maybe that makes a difference. The problem is with issues like this is it seems like a widespread issue because we're seeing it on the negative reviews because people are more likely to write a negative review when something goes wrong, and also complain on the internet essentially. But how many complaints has Rhode actually gotten in respect to how many they've actually sold? If it's, you know, less than 1%, less than 5%, that's not a super persistent issue, especially for something that's happening after it leaves the facility or the warehouse. And that's why if you have issues with your product, it's essential to tell the brand so they can statistically analyze how frequently this is occurring. And because it's happening outside of areas of Rhode Beauty's control, the only solution is really reformulating the product. Now, this, like I said, is a known issue with shea butter, so it would be either maybe lessening the shea butter, replacing the shea butter, adding things that might make it more stable. But the risk is that if they do that, are they gonna compromise the quality of the formula that people seem to love so much? So this is probably like a risk assessment with Rhode Beauty. Is this issue enough that people stop repurchasing the product? Is this enough that it's deterring people from buying it? Or are they still having huge sales? And that might be why, if this has been an issue over all this time, that they're not reformulating it, because the frequency of it occurring is not outweighing how they're selling or getting even repeat customers. This is a celebrity brand. Any celebrity brand or influencer brand is going to have these kind of defects in their products more highlighted than probably just a brand that doesn't have a face to it. So I hope you learned something today. If you did learn something today, don't forget to leave a like on this video and make sure you click the subscribe button so you always know when I have a new upload. And with that,